Hey guys, Lee with LG Speed and Custom here, and in this video we are going to build a column drop for my 32 Ford. Or at least I hope we will. I've been having a little bit of a creative block with this column drop. I've been sitting here for a couple hours now coming up with different schemes and designs, and I've run out of my fourth mug of coffee. Coffee pot's empty, so should probably do something. I think it's time. So some of the ideas I've had, I've been looking at a bunch of 50s hot rods, I've been looking at 50s race cars, show cars, coming up with a column drop idea. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to build it out of aluminum and polish it, if I wanted to put gauges in it, if I wanted to cut a starburst in it, like how the battery box and the master cylinder mount, I've cut starbursts in them on the CNC plasma table. Do I want to do that? Do I want to cut the LG logo in it? Do I want to upholster it? It's all what's been going through my mind. And I think I've got a plan. I think we're going to do an upholstered column drop. Because why not? It's kind of, that sounds fun. It's different. And yeah. So let's build one. Let's do that in this video. So I think one of the first things we're going to do is make a paper template, a cardboard template. This is just poster board. I get this at the dollar store. It is 50 cents for a big sheet, and a sheet will go a long ways. So I've cut this to 6 inches wide. So let's make a center line mark here at 3 inches. When I'm doing my center lines, I usually like to measure from both sides, because sometimes, like, I got my square set at 3 inches, but then you got the thickness of the pencil. So if you go from both sides, you'll see it leaves like that little gap in the middle. So when I go to draw my center line, I make sure that my center line is like centered in the gap, and then I know I am truly at the center. Okay, there's our center line here. So the column tube I measured earlier and is 1 5/8. I don't have anything that's 1 5/8 to trace, but this is 1 3/4, which I think is close enough for our situation. Because this is just a template, we can make the final one the correct size. So 1/2 inch and 3/4 is 7/8. We'll set this at 7/8 on our center line. Make a mark. And then take this hole saw. It's got these little lines here, so you can cover these little holes so you can see on the inside. We're going to line that up on our center line. Bring it up to the mark that we just made, and trace that. So if we cut this out now, that will give us our 1/2 of a column drop, because we're going to have the other 1/2 is going to bolt on from the other side. You can't obviously make it in one piece because you won't be able to get the column in and out. Well, I mean, you could, but you'd have to like take the steering wheel off and then slide it down, and that sucks. Nobody wants to do that. You want to make things easy to put together and take apart. So we'll grab some scissors. We'll cut this out, and then we will go to the car and see how it's going to work. So before I even got in the car here, I chopped like 6 inches off the top of this. This was just a scrap piece that I had, and it was clearly way too long. So this little semicircle that we cut out at the bottom sits on the column like that. I grabbed a level. Before I did this. I made sure that the car was level. And yes, I've tested it with me sitting in it and not in it, and it didn't make enough of a difference. So let's take our level here, slide it on our template. Our template, I think, is hitting this. Hold on. Let me fold this corner back a bit. All right. So yeah, we'll take our level, and that way we can get it kind of sitting straight, because this dash has nothing like straight on it. It's all curved. So in theory, that should be straight up and down. Although looking at it, it looks really crooked. I don't know, do we trust the level or do we just eyeball it? Because on the level, it sits right there, which definitely, it just looks crooked to me. I think we're gonna eyeball it. I wonder if it might be better to use a plumb bob. Plumb bob. In my head, that's where it should sit, which is like half an inch further. I think I'll grab some tape and I'll tape it up there and then stand a little ways back and see if it looks right. And if it looks right, then we'll go with it. If it looks weird, then we won't. Hey, so I think it looks okay. What do you guys think? That is just sitting in the car where my eye thinks that it looks best. When I had the level on it, it was a half an inch over and it was noticeably, I don't know, like maybe it was straight, but it's just because this is curved, it gives it the illusion that it's crooked. But I think we want it to look straight, whether it is actually straight or not. So if that looks okay, when we come back here, look at it through the back window, that looks okay. Look at it from up here. Not that anybody would ever see it from up here, but I think it looks okay. I think we're gonna go with that. So we'll take our pencil now. I think we had it about there. That's almost the same angle as the dash. Let's trace this dash edge here. If we take this off, now we kind of have the dimensions that we can whittle this down and shape it now to a nice streamlined look. So here is our template drawn up on the computer here. So I think I'm just gonna play around and use these dimensions and kind of just, I don't know, streamline, just make a nice looking shape out of that. All right, here's what I've come up with. So here's our bottom where the tube goes. These little pointy guys, those are just fold lines so that when we cut this out, I can fold those back, and then those are going to be the holes for the fasteners that hold the bottom half on. Same with up here, this pointer and this pointer, that's gonna be our fold line, and that's gonna be the part that actually bolts to the bottom of the dash. So from here to here is what you'll actually see. I came up with a few different radiuses and different ideas, and this is the one that I like the best. These three holes in the center, those are going to be for when we upholster it. I'll show you that step when we get to there. So now we just need to cut this out. I'm trying to debate if I should cut it out of like 1/8 inch and then maybe box the sides in to give it strength, or if I should cut it at 1/4 inch, and 1/4 inch on its own should be strong enough. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I haven't decided yet. I decided to go with 1/8 inch and box it. Amazing. Well, here's our piece. I don't know how many of you guys noticed in the press brake I bent this the wrong way. So I straightened it out and bent it back the other way. This part here hooks under the dash, and then, yeah, it just kind of sits like that. So it looks pretty cool like that. Like, this would look good chromed, just as is. But we're gonna stick to our original plan. So I'm gonna weld 2 nuts to the top of this so that we can drill some holes in the dash here and then just run the screws up and not have to fiddle around trying to get a nut on the back side. That's a pain in the ass. And probably same with the bottom ones here. I think we'll weld some nuts on there as well. And then look at boxing it. I don't know if it like needs to be boxed for strength so much, but it will make it a little bit easier to upholster when we have our material. If we just wrap it the way it is now, you're gonna see all the bulkiness on the back. But if we had, like, you know, a 1/2 inch over there that the material could wrap around and then glue to the back side of that edge, I think it'll just look a little bit cleaner. But yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that looks pretty good. So let's weld some nuts on here. All 4 nuts are welded on. I'm gonna let this cool down for a moment and then we can drill our holes in the dash. In the meantime, while it's cooling down, we can start building our bottom piece. So for the bottom, I just took our existing image and cut the top off and kind of made just a little semicircle. We'll cut that out, fold it up and see if it works. In my head it works. So I apologize, I forgot to push record when I folded the ends over, but there's our bottom half right there. All right, I've got some masking tape on the bottom of the dash here. So now we can mock this up where it needs to be. I hope my arm's not in the shot. And mark our holes. The reason I used masking tape is so that the pen shows up on it. All right, we got 1 hole there and 1 hole there. Let's drill it out. These step bits are the best. All right, let's see if our bottom piece fits. right, well there it is. As you can see, we're still too big in there. But we can fix that. This is just a piece of 1 3/4 inch exhaust tubing, which this is a 1 3/4 inch hole. And this is a 1 5/8 tube. And this has an inside diameter of 1 5/8. So I'm gonna cut this in half. This is 1 inch thick, which is the same thickness as our side here, like so. So you're gonna cut this in half, weld 1/2 to here and 1/2 to here, and that will take up this gap, but also give it a little bit of, like, just make it a little more secure. I've got these guys sitting in place, so we'll tack them up, and we could probably weld them up, and then we'll see how it fits. So I just welded it on the back side because this side is going to get covered in upholstery, so no need to. Hey, hey, hey! Shush! We're filming over here. Quiet on set. Quiet on set. Let's, this is still a little warm. Might let it cool down a bit, and then, actually that's not bad. Let's go put it in, see how it fits. Yeah, that's sucking it up really nice. There we go. Yeah, that's much more solid now. Close that gap up really nice. We're gonna make some side pieces now to box it in. We need one piece at 7 inches and one piece at 8 inches. We're gonna make them 1 inch wide, just like the other piece. So we'll probably cut that first. There's 1 inch there. One inch. Now let's go to 8 inches on here. And another one at 7 inches. There we go. Oh, we got some masking tape on there. We can peel that off. So this is just 18 gauge sheet metal. Like I was saying earlier, I think being made out of 1/8 inch, like that piece is 1/8 inch. I think that's strong enough on its own. So by welding these on, it's a little bit for boxing it in. It's going to help for sure, but it's more just to give the upholstery something to wrap around onto. I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So this is pretty much just going to weld on like that, and then we'll bend this top piece over to follow that radius. Probably weld the bottom up a little bit. I don't want to go on that side because then our bottom piece isn't going to match up as good. Plus, when we put the upholstery on there, it's going to bulk it out a little bit more anyways, so we'll do it on the inside. Probably going to just MIG weld it from the backside again, Like I said, when the foam and stuff goes around it, this little part here, just like this little part here, it'll be completely covered in foam. You'll never see that seam. There we go. We're all boxed in. I went and hit it quickly with the DA sander just because we need a little bit of sanding marks in there. Upholstery glue, just like automotive paint, needs sand scratches to bite into. So just went over it with 80 grit. I think we're ready to upholster this thing now. Welcome to the upholstery loft. We're up on the second floor right now. This is where we do all the upholstery stuff. We've got a bunch of material over here under the stairs here. We've got some carpet and stuff. Up here we've got various pieces of foam. Of course, a sewing machine, big layout table, and the workbench. Just to give you some context here, there's Rob's Model A below us. Okay, so we want to wrap this in some foam and some vinyl. Let's go under here. I've got a box of just cut off pieces of foam. Here's a part of a tuck and roll seat. I think this was for Ken's Model A. So it's got some 1/2 inch foam on it. So we'll steal that guy. 1/2 inch is pretty thick for what we're doing, but I kind of want something a little bit thick. All right, let's grab some scissors. Where's my scissors at? Oh, you know what? Scissors are downstairs. Scissors are always downstairs. Every time I'm up here, my scissors are downstairs. And every time I'm downstairs, my scissors are up here. But that's okay, we can cut it with this guy here. This is just a simple turkey carver. It's basically the same as a foam knife, except for these are like 50 bucks and a foam knife is like 500 bucks. I've been using this for 6 years now and it hasn't died yet. All right, that's garbage. Here is our foam. This is actually scrim or sew foam. It's a little bit denser and it's got a coating or like a little screen on the back so that thread doesn't go through. And this is what you use for sewing like your pleats and tuck and roll and stuff. We don't need that for what we're doing. We're simply just using this because it is a piece of scrap. So we're gonna glue this on here now, fold it around the ends and then trim it. For glue, I use, this is just a really cheap paint gun. Fill it full of glue. You don't have to worry about it drying out or clogging the gun up. There has been glue in this gun for 6 years and about every 1.5 years I'll take the tip off and wire wheel it and that's it. It just, you know, it always works. This is the glue that I use. This is Wellwood Landau Top adhesive. This stuff can be a bit hard to get. If you go down to your local upholstery shop and talk nice to them, they might sell you a little bit of it, but usually you gotta get it from like an upholstery supply place. It's one thing that's a bit weird with upholstery, like paint and body. Any Joe Blow can walk into a paint and body store and be like, hey, sell me some paint. And yeah, here's some paint, knock yourself out. The upholstery industry is not like that. To get like buy upholstery supplies, there's only like, I think there's, here I'm in Canada, there's 4 companies in Canada that kind of sell it all. And to set up, you have to set up like a wholesale account with them and you got to prove that you're like a real business. They won't just sell it to the general public. So upholstery is a little bit weird, but like I said, if you go to your local upholstery shop and talk nice to them, maybe show up with cash, they'll sell you if you need a little bit of foam, a little bit of glue. Usually they're pretty cool about just selling it to you. So, all right, let's glue this down here. That we don't need. Where's our airline? We're gonna spray our glue on the metal piece first. Let me pull the camera up here so you can see a little better. Okay, we're gonna spray on the metal first because it soaks into the foam a little bit and the metal not so much, and it's got to tack up a little bit. You don't want tons. If you put it on too heavy, it doesn't want to dry very nice. Okay, how did we have that? That way? We'll just coat the whole thing. All right. Give this a minute to do its thing. All right, just like that. Okay, now we're going to take our foam knife, our turkey carver, foamed. Foam is done. Now we can wrap it. Yeah, remember all those seams from the welds? They're gone. You have no idea they're even there anymore. Found Shannon scissors. They work good, but my thumb gets stuck in them sometimes. This is our material. This is pearl white vinyl. And it kind of kills me a little bit to cut into a brand new roll like this. I thought I had a partial roll somewhere, but I have no idea where it went. I probably used it all up. This is what Shannon's Comet is done with inside. Okay, here's our piece. So we can take this back over to the bench there and start manipulating it to wrap around on here. Stuff is pretty stretchy, which is good. When you buy good quality vinyl, it's really nice to work with. The stuff they sell at like Fabricate, it's the worst. Don't use that stuff, it's terrible. So we're not actually going to be gluing the material to here. We're gonna wrap this, which means, just like it sounds, pull it around, wrap it, and we're gonna glue it on the backside. But because of this little kick up here, that makes things a little bit weird. So I think I'm going to glue this face right here, set that, and then we can work the rest of it from there. So just like before, we're gonna spray the glue on the metal first, just to give it a moment to tack up. We'll spray on the backside too. And which way did our piece go? This way? Yeah. So we'll glue a little bit on the top there. We don't have to get too critical with this area because it's actually going to be under the dash. It won't even be visible, and once the dash goes in there, it's going to pinch that up. All right, where's our scissors? We are going to have to put a relief cut here. Actually, let's go this way. I might have to go downstairs and get my scissors. The scissors don't work quite as nice. All right, yeah, so now we can wrap it this way. What's the best way to do this? Probably that way, I'd assume. All right, I'm gonna switch to time lapse because this is just gonna be me gluing, pulling, gluing, pulling. There it is, all wrapped. The top pieces here, you can still, like I didn't get super carried away with that. If this was going to be exposed, I would obviously do a better job, but because that is going to be on the back side of the dash, I didn't get too stressed out about it. Same with down here where the bottom attaches. I might tidy that up a little bit, but yeah, there it is. So now, remember, these 3 holes, now we're going to address those. With this, a button maker, we're going to make some buttons to go in there using this super cool gold material. I got this from a friend of mine, and it's not really enough to do anything with. I have no idea where it came from, so I can't order more. But it's perfect for making things like buttons or a little bit of piping if you need. So we're gonna cut 3 pieces out of this and turn them into buttons. So the first part of making buttons is cutting the material out. When you buy a button making machine, it will come with a cutting die and a little piece of plastic that goes underneath. So let's cut our pieces out. I'm strategically using a part of this that probably would not get used for anything else. Did that cut? Oh yeah, that cut. Ah. There's one. I wonder if you could cut multiple of these at a time. Probably. I've never tried that. Two. And the final one. Okay, now we take these pieces, after we find the one that we dropped on the floor, and switch these out. There's some screws, and then there's another piece that screws in there. So I lied, this piece doesn't unscrew, it stays in there. This piece here goes in the bottom. So for our buttons, you've got your material, and then you've got like a top and a bottom here. So the bottom is going to go in there, like so. We push that down. Our material sits in like that. Then you take your button and this little dowel that comes with the kit. You push it in like that. And zam. You got a button. Do that 2 more times. Put your material in. So when you see an interior, when you see a car interior, like a 60s style interior or something that's got a whole bunch of buttons, this is how they are made. It's super tedious. I would never want to do a huge button tuft interior. It takes forever. All right. We've got our 3 buttons. Now we can put them in. I forgot a step, and that's we need 3 more 1/8" holes in here. So I'm going to very carefully drill some 1/8" holes through here, and that is our buttons. We got to tie them with twine, and we need something to hold the twine. If this was like a wood piece or something, or plastic, we could just staple it, but because it's metal, we have to use rivets. So here we go. I'm very nervous right now. Oh, I got an idea. I saw this on Instagram the other day. There's this like 11-year-old kid named Goosep that I follow. He's hilarious. Love that guy. Anyways, he did this the other day. You take a socket and you slide it over your drill bit, and now it's only poking through a little bit, so you don't have to worry about blasting through. Oh yeah, that worked great. All right, so we got a tufting needle here. We're gonna go from the back side and, you ready? You ready? Oh, we just punched a hole right through. Do this one here. Why is this so hard? Probably because I'm using a tufting needle instead of an actual poker. All right, now we take our tufting twine and, ooh, how big a piece do we need? Probably that big. Cut these up here. We're gonna poke this through. Pull this end like that. So this is why we went with the 1/2" foam rather than like 1/4 inch, just because we need to bury this in there. Now we'll take our tufting needle here. This kind of works similar to like a tire plug. Poke this through. Like so. Ah. So now we need to pull it tight like that, keep tension on it, wrap this around a rivet and rivet it in. Sounds easy, right? Again, think of like, you know, an old lowrider that's got 1,000 buttons on the interior. This is how they're all done. Okay, I'm gonna keep my Are we tight? No, we can go tighter than that. I almost need like 3 more hands to do this. Okay. Push our rivet down. Hopefully we got it tight. Oh yeah. All right. Blast the rest of these out. All right, there we go. So after I riveted them all in, I glued the strings down, and then I glued a piece of vinyl over top of the strings just to make sure that they don't ever come loose, because if they come loose, your button's gonna come off. I've never done that before, but it seemed like a good idea. The only thing that we still need to do is punch our holes out for our bolts to go through, or big screws. Pretty easy to do. I just take a pointy screwdriver and stab them. Let's go put this in and see how it looks. And there we go. Had to waste 2 days building an upholstered steering column drop. This bottom piece, I just painted it a white that was pretty similar to this, because to upholster that is way too much work. It's so intricate to get upholstery to wrap around little things like that. And it's at the bottom, so you'll never see it anyways. But from the top, like where I'm gonna be driving in here, that looks rad. I'm super happy with this. All right, well, there's our column drop all finished up. It's nice and secure. We still need a bushing in the end of our steering column. We'll worry about that later, but yeah, our column is nice and solid in there. Happy with that. So, in the upholstery, I think that was the right call. I think it really suits like what I've got in my head for the style that I want this car. Like I've mentioned in a couple other videos, like 1958 to 62-ish. I think this falls right into that. Also, I don't know how many of you guys noticed, I took the 39 banjo wheel out and put the 40 deluxe wheel in. The 39 banjo wheel, I mostly just put that in because it's the first thing that I saw when I needed a steering wheel, but I don't know, it's not right for this car. And the moment I put it in, I knew it wasn't right, but we had more important things to worry about then. I've always pictured this car with like a mid to late 50s Ford wheel in it, but to do that, we'd have to cut the shaft and put a spline shaft on. This shaft uses a keyway, and the 40 Ford wheel uses the keyway. I think they used the keyway till 1948, and then 49 when the shoebox came out, which is one of my favorite wheels. 4950 wheel would look really good in this. But that's when the splined shaft came out, so I don't know. I think for the amount of work it is to put that in, I think this 40 wheel looks great. I'm really happy with it. Yesterday when I was looking at column drop ideas, I was looking at a lot of late 50s hot rods, and like every third picture I looked at was a 40 Ford wheel. So it's definitely, I think it's definitely correct for the era. And yeah, I'm stoked with it. I'm stoked with this whole project. Took a while. It took 2 days to make this. I mean, half a day was just sitting there staring at it, drinking coffee, trying to figure out what to build. But I think it was worth it because what we built here, as simple as it is, I think it's, you know, it pops in it. It'll really attract attention when people look inside the car and they see that. They'll go, wow. So the rest of the interior is going to be, you know, pretty similar to this. We'll cover that eventually. We're a little ways from that yet, but I figure this will, you know, boost the motivation. So the gauges, I think I got a way that I can fit all the gauges I need into this panel. If not, I'm not opposed to building like a little panel down here, maybe a little panel, as long as we can still get to our cowl vent. A little panel here that has a couple gauges and some switches and stuff for the headlights and that. But we'll cross that bridge down the road. In the meantime, that's where we're going to end this video. So thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to comment. Let me know what you think of this, what you thought of the upholstery part of it, what you think of this steering wheel versus the banjo wheel. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.